This video is going to show you the Excel skills for section 2.2 in your book. So the first thing that we're going to learn how to do is make a pie chart. And what's great about Excel is it does all the math for you. You do not have to worry about calculating an angle or using a compass or protractor or anything like that. So in this class, I always expect that you'll use Excel to do your pie chart. And so here we have some data. It shows the different eye colors in a class that I had last semester. To turn it into a pie chart, we just highlight everything, the eye colors and the numbers. We do Insert, Pie, and pick that very first pie. And then, just like we did in the histograms, we want to edit the layout. So if you click on the chart, it should take you to the Design tab. If it doesn't, go ahead and go up to Design. And then let's change the layout to, this time let's do Layout 1. And what's great about this is it goes ahead and it labels the percentages for you for each of the pie pieces. So we can title this Eye Colors, and so we can see that a third of the class has blue eyes, 43% has brown eyes, about 17% has hazel, and 7% consider themselves to have gray or green or some other color. So Excel makes pie charts really easy and it's awesome. Our next type of chart is a Pareto chart. And so on our second tab, I've got some new data showing the favorite type of book for a group of students. So a Pareto chart is a type of bar chart, but it's not one of Excel's pre-programmed ones. So what we actually have to do is sort the data ourselves. So I'm going to just copy and paste my data. So I'm copying and pasting so that the numbers are in descending order, because that's one of the hallmarks of a Pareto chart is that the numbers go down in descending order. And I'm sure you could use Excel to sort this, but because it's just a little bit of data, I'm just doing it manually. Alright, so there we have our data. We've got classical and romance, some other type, self-help, sci-fi, and history. So once we have our chart in descending order, I'm going to highlight everything, then insert column, and just pick the very first basic 2D column. Now in a Pareto chart, the bars don't touch, so I'm going to edit my layout so that I'll have a place to put titles and labels. Let's see what the second one looks like. Sometimes you gotta kind of click around until you find a layout that you like. That'll work. So we have our frequencies going up the side. We have our favorite type of book for a title. Delete that extra tab, and there we go, a nice label chart where we see our different classes for the books, and then the frequency showing how popular they are, and then the bars are going in descending order. Going on to the next tab, we can do a scatter plot. So we use scatter plots to show paired data where two sets of points go together. And so here our data is looking at the number of students that a teacher has in their class, and then the average salary for that number of students. So maybe we're trying to figure out, do more students mean more pay? Or do more students mean the school's overcrowded and maybe stretched for cash, so less pay? So we're trying to see, is there a correlation between the number of students in a class and how much that teacher gets paid annually? So for this one, I'm going to highlight all of my data, and I'm going to go to Insert, Scatter, and pick the scatter plot that has just the dots. We do not want any lines connecting the dots, because if you notice, the dots are kind of all on top of each other, and if you added in lines there, it would be crazy. So I'm going to change this to Layout 1, so we have places for titles and labels. So let's see, going across we have the number of students, then we have our salary, and maybe I'll title this Students versus Salary. Your titles and labels can be a little bit different, it's okay. Just get the point across. And then I always like to hit that extra label on the side and then hit the delete button on my keyboard. I think it's kind of superfluous. It doesn't really add anything, and I like having a slightly bigger graph. So here we have our students versus salaries, and it's not very clear what's going on. It looks like maybe there's a little bit of a downward trend, but the dots are so kind of clumped together, it's hard to tell if more students mean you make less money or if more students mean you make more money. So whenever it's ambiguous like this, you probably want to go out and collect more data so that you can make a real decision, because this scatter plot is kind of a clump. And then our last type of graph is a time series, and this one's very similar to a scatter plot. The only difference is now we only have 1 point per time. So we only have one data point per year. In this case, this is looking at the number of deer in an area in Michigan when 6 deer were initially introduced. So I'm going to highlight all of my data and then go up to Insert and again pick Scatter, but this time go ahead and let there be a line connecting the dots. Since we only have one dot per year, we're not going to have that clump effect that we had in the last graph. So I'm going to change it to layout 1, and let's see, this is number of years, this is number of deer, maybe just call it deer in Michigan. And then again, I'm going to delete that extra label by hitting the delete button on my keyboard. And so we see that initially the deers reproduced and made a lot of baby deer, and then it kind of leveled out. If y'all are familiar with biology, it looks like the deer reached their carrying capacity, and so there were the right number of deer that the resources could adequately support.